And yeah, we have Charlie, Gwenna. We just missed Genesis. How are you, everyone?
Amazing. Thank you for having us.
Oh, it's a pleasure. So happy to see you. Well, let me see if Genesis, if she received the invitation. Oh, yeah, she should be here in a few seconds. So yeah, maybe we'll start. If you can introduce yourself and maybe in few sentences, your vegan story, why you vegan, how you became vegan. That's a question that we always have. So like that, we can go with this and start with our conversation. So I don't know who wants to start.
Okay, I guess I'll step up to the plate.
Perfect.
Hi, everyone. My name is Charlie. I've been a baker for 15 years. Originally, I sold non-vegan baked goods, and from having so many requests from vegans and people that are allergic to dairy, I started making vegan baked goods, cookies and brownies and things like that. And I actually met a vegan guy about 8 years ago who I met him through actually selling vegan desserts before I was vegan. And he took me under his wing and challenged me and showed me about the dairy industry and the implications of eating animal products. And then I became vegan. So it was actually through my business. And then I actually switched my business over and relaunched Charlie's Brownies as an all vegan business after that. So that's kind of my story. And then I also, before that, I used to throw a lot of parties. I was the party guy back in college. And now I've kind of resurrected that ability and that passion. And now I throw events for the vegan community and kind of activism events where you can bring your friends and they can experience a delicious vegan food, meet vegan people, and catch a vibe and have a good time.
Nice.
Nice. I've had his brownies before. They're delish.
So yeah, Gwenna, if you want to introduce yourself.
Yeah, so I'm Gwenna Hunter, the founder of VegansOfLA. I got started in this like really by accident. I got dropped off kind of here in LA and just ended up staying. And I started VegansOfLA as a vegetarian, not really knowing that it was a huge difference in the mindset of the two. And I just really wanted to just do meetups and meet people. And then it just kind of spun into me kind of doing events at that time and just shifting right on in. And I ended up having like a dream about a cow, and we became one. And I started thinking like, wow, animals actually love, cows love. And my mindset started shifting and I had a lot of questions. And then I saw the video, Dairy is Effing Scary. And that once from the dream and then once seeing exactly how animals are treated, because I just assumed the fairy tale that we're all sold and programmed to believe that it's a mutual relationship and that the animals were created for us to do whatever we want with. And so once I made that connection, I'm like, I am vegan, and it became ethical. And I just been sailing along ever since. So yeah.
What about you, Genesis? I'll let you introduce yourself.
My name is Genesis Butler, and I'm 13 years old. And the most recent thing that I've been working on is Youth Climate Change, and that's a climate movement that focuses on talking about the damage animal agriculture does to the planet. And the way that I got involved in my activism and becoming vegan was, so first I got my whole family to go vegan, and then I became animal rights activist. And then I figured out about the impact that animal agriculture has on the planet. And since I'm vegan, I'm not contributing to that. So I thought it was just a lying. So I became an environmentalist. So since then, I've been vegan. My whole family is vegan, and I just travel and do public speaking.
Congratulations. That's the proof that you're a good activist, because bringing the family to become vegan is one of the most difficult. So what I'm trying to do here, so we have a special edition, Black Lives Matter, and I want to use this platform to listen, to amplify all the voices that need to be heard. I'm here to educate myself, to be honest, and I hope that will inspire other people to educate themselves as well. We need to speak up. We need to find the best way to speak up, but the most important first is to speak up and to learn how to do it the best way. So what I'm trying to do always with those chill with activist conference is to create conversation. So you guys don't really know what we're going to talk about. I just sent you a quick email saying that we're going to talk about Black Lives Matter in veganism, but I really want to leave a lot of space to improvisation, because what I like to do is create conversation, to be interactive with, if there's any comment, any question. So yeah, we have a leading team, and I guess I will start with this question and we go where it goes, or we see where it goes, which is why intersectionality, especially Black Lives Matter right now, is so important in the vegan movement. So I don't know who want to start.
I can take it. I'll take it because my mouth is like ready to open as soon as you said that. It's always been important. And I have to say, like, when I first got involved in quote unquote animal rights, I was really shocked at the community of how little we discussed human rights issues, because we're in a human body. And so why is it so taboo to bring that conversation in when oppression is really built off the same exact structure, no matter who's being oppressed? So I'm very happy to see now that people are giving themselves permission and are kind of changing the programming of their minds and allowing themselves to stand up for human rights issues, because to me, it was always one and the same. It was never two separate issues. Of course, animals don't have the type of voices like that we have, but the whole thing with like Black Lives Matter versus All Lives Matter is that we're really going through a crisis right now. So we need all hands on deck to kind of help eliminate this so that all lives can matter. You know what I mean? So yeah, intersectionality has and so, you know, the language keeps changing. They're like, you know, don't use intersectionality, say this, but it all has the same meaning. Like, we all need to stand up and stand up for each other. You know, like right now, Black Lives Matter is the focus, but I'm hoping that this opens the door so that, because Native Americans have been going through shit for a long time, having their land stolen, then they get it back, and then they get it taken back, and then this, and then Standing Rock, and all these different things. And so they've always been standing up, but I think, you know, the world hasn't given them the type of support that they've needed. And so it's like all these different issues now, I think we're going to start knocking them and dismantling all these issues down. And Black Lives Matter is really like just leading the way for this planetary rising up that is happening right now.
I want to continue on that point. Something that I'm really that I'm seeing is the power of unity. People of all backgrounds and are fighting all different kinds of oppression are all coming together as one right now, even amidst a pandemic, which is crazy. And we're seeing how effective we can be. You know, a lot of information is being learned by a lot of people. People are being educated. They're educating themselves. Uncomfortable conversations are happening, and policies are changing. Things are changing really rapidly. So that really speaks to what unity can do. And we become more unified when we realize that this is all rooted in oppression and injustice. So we can choose to hone in on one, or we can say, oh, these are all connected. These are all forms of deep oppression, and if we all just tackle them all together, then we can just knock it all out. We don't need to be divisive and have this group over here clicked up, not paying attention to what they're doing, and then, you know, you're not going to get much done if you're separate. So you know, and for us as vegan activists, I feel that that's very important, because it's much harder to get people to care about non-human animals than it is for them to care about. It's easy for someone to jump on and you know, be against sexism or be, you know, against racism, but not everyone has made the connection yet that animals are just like us. So we as vegans have to go above and beyond even other activists for other people to make that connection. But once they do, I think eventually we can garner that same type of support that we've seen for Black Lives Matter. So that's really what we want to do. We want to connect it so that we can build that type of support for our movement as well. And I'm really proud of a lot of vegans for going out of their way for Black Lives Matter, because that really shows that we have their back. That's the only way that they're going to have our back as well.
Yeah, and I truly believe that we kind of redefine veganism right now, because a lot of people are saying they are animal activists, but they are just non-human animal activists. So if you're a vegan activist, you're for all the animal. We're all animals, humans,
Exactly.
animals, and non-human animals. So if you're not helping humans, you are making what you're against, which means speciesism. And so this is why I think it's super important to incorporate the Black Lives Matter movement in the vegan movement, and any other, like vegan is for justice for animals and all animals. So yeah, I don't know if you want to say something, Genesis, about all this.
Yeah, I think that it's important for vegans to talk about Black Lives Matter instead of saying All Lives Matter, because I've been seeing a lot of vegans, they like to tend to say All Lives Matter, which yes, they do. But when they're saying that, it's kind of not bringing as much attention to the Black Lives Matter movement. So I think as vegans, we need to set an example for other people, because we all have something in common, which we're all compassionate, but we need to be compassionate for all beings. So I think that it's really important for us to set an example for other people so that we can show them, like, we talk about all causes, especially for Black Lives Matter, so that we can bring attention to what people of color have to go through every single day.
Yeah,
Well
yeah,
said.
totally agree. I feel like people can a little bit hide themselves behind the all life matter to not speaking up. It's like, you know, we always say, I always compare to veganism because that's what I know, you know, but I always compare with the fact when someone says vegan, we say, oh, that's good, but being vegan is just going back to zero. Now what you're going to do more? You need to be activist, you need to speak up. And I feel like a lot of people are like, oh no, all lives matter, I'm not racist. And I feel like they believe that just not being racist is enough, but not being racist is just normal. Now you need to speak up, you need to do something more about it.
And
Yeah,
and another,
go ahead. I'm sorry, go
You
ahead,
go.
Charlie.
I was just going to say, it actually, if you really are all about the animals, then you would actually want to study other forms of oppression, because that would help you recruit more people into veganism. If you understand what they're dealing with, the situation they're in, socioeconomically, the access they have, what they're dealing with their family, then you can support them in bigger ways and help them go vegan and be a vegan advocate. So you can't just ignore everything else and try to focus on what you're doing, because that's actually counterproductive if you're looking at in terms of efficiency and actually accomplishing your goals.
That's right. And I think too, you know, I just started a group on Facebook called Vegans for Black Lives Matter. I had no idea what I was getting into when I did this.
Okay.
Hasn't been all fun, not gonna lie, but it's making me grow up really fast. And I have to say, you know, being an ally, I've watched friends like really evolve really quickly with this, from not really wanting to be involved in this and get caught up to just getting right on in there. And this is not very easy work, I think, for white people, because when you come into this, you're going. So here's the thing: when people advocate for the animals, I think the reason oftentimes that they like to just focus on animals is because the animals aren't going to correct you. They're not going to say, you're not doing this right. They're not going to say, we need you to be here at 8 p.m. I need you to donate. I need you to do this. Check your language. Don't do this. Don't do that. This is the right way. When you're advocating for the animals, you can kind of make up your own type of the way you want to advocate in your own form of activism. When you get involved with this, there's a learning curve. And even as a Black woman, I'm learning so much about how to be a better leader and how to be an ally within my own community. So this is definitely work. And one thing I'm learning is being open to criticism and open to learning a better way and a smarter way to be an ally. So I just wanted to put that out there.
No, yeah, you're totally right. I send a lot of time. I send message to Charlie or another friend in France saying, "Do you think that if I say this like that is okay?" Because I want to make sure that I say it right, you know.
Yeah.
But in the other hand, what I look to say always is say it wrong, and say it wrong. Apologize, rectify, and say it right, but at least say it.
That's right.
So
Yeah, because the learning curve
I'm a little
the
nervous,
learning
but
curve is strict.
huh?
I said the learning curve is strict.
Yeah. Yeah, and don't be afraid to say it wrong. If after that you're gonna apologize and rectify, people will understand. I think.
That's right.
Yeah.
And if
So,
they don't understand, just move on along and just make sure you do it the correct way the next time. You know, like I said, I'm learning a lot myself because I'm more of a, and this is what I came to a realization last night. In the group, I'm finding there's so many different types of personalities. And in the vegan Black movement, there's different types of ways that people teach. Some people are very intellectual. Some people are very scholarly. Some people, for myself, I'm more spiritual and more heart centered. So I'm more like, let's heal, let's love, you know. And then some people are more like, hey, make sure when you say Black, you put a capital B in there. Make sure when you do this, you do, like, some people they just come at a different angle. But what I'm learning is that it all creates a perfect system. So it's going to take the healer. It's going to take the educator. It's going to take that powerful Black strong male energy to come in. It's going to take all these different things. And so be willing and able to accept learning from all of that, because it all, like I said, makes a complete system.
you want to add something, Genesis? I see you saying yes.
Well, I think that also it's important to talk about Black Lives Matter right now, because I think that a lot of people for a while have thought like not to say anything about this topic because I think that it's controversial, because I think that, oh, well, I could, if it's like businesses, like big businesses, they're like, oh, well, I could lose customers if I talk about this. But I think now it's really important to talk about. It's always been important, but I think especially right now, because every single day another Black person has been killed by a police officer. So I think that it's really important to start talking about this. And I think all lives matter, that shouldn't be a term anymore, because I keep on seeing that term being used, and that's just not, it's not bringing attention to the Black Lives Matter movement, and that's what we're trying to do. And we're not saying, no, all lives don't matter. We're trying to say that we're trying to bring attention to Black Lives Matter, because I think it's kind of hard to understand when you're not a person of color what we go through every day, because it's a different experience, so you don't really know. But I think there's so many different things that happens to us. Like, for someone else, when you get pulled over by a police officer, like, you're not as nervous, but when you're a person of color, like, you're really, really, really nervous. So I think it's stuff like that that's always happening. So I think it's really important to start talking about Black Lives Matter and being kinder to one another, because I think this world is not as kind as it should be. So I think we can start making the difference by being kind to everyone.
That's right.
Right. Yeah, actually, Gwenna, you say something. I don't remember where, but I'm watching so many videos those days. You were talking about the white guilt that often happen, and what you just said remind me of a story actually that I would like to share. I was with my wife. We were for Valentine's Day up the hill in the car, and we were in, you know, those places up the hill where you have like a 4 or 5 spot to park your car. And so we were there, and there was another car, but we were not supposed to be here because it was at night, but it was Valentine's Day. So we were like, it's okay, we just stay for a while in front of the ocean. It's beautiful, you know, to enjoy the view. And then a cop arrived. And so we got a little scared because we were not supposed to be here. And so they start to go out, and the officer saw us, and he said, no, it's okay, just go. And we said, okay, sorry, and we left. And to left, we had to go all the way, do a U-turn, and come back next to the place. And when we came back next to the place, we saw that the other car, the guy was outside. They were touching him, you know, and he was a Black guy. And I felt so guilty to just move away of this situation where I feel like I should have, I mean, now for sure that will be completely different, but I felt guilty that I didn't just pull over, take off my phone, because this is the most powerful tool we all have in our pocket. I would have taken off my phone and asked them, why you don't ask me anything? I'm not supposed to be here as well. Why you don't check me? Either you don't check both of us, either you check both of us. But like I felt guilty, and also I felt like this guy might gonna think like, oh, he could have helped me and he didn't do it. So that's where the guilt can come from as well, and we need to assume it the same way. Sorry, but I always compare to veganism, but the same way when I realized that what I was eating, that it was death and all this, and I felt guilty about this, and it's the same way you need to accept the situation and do something about it. Sorry, it was a little long, but I wanted to share this story.
No, that was a great story and a great example of, you know, where I think a lot of, you know, white guilt is coming from, because there are examples in everybody's life, I think, you know, especially with white people, where they heard a joke or they let something slide, or they have that racist friend who, you know, is super racist, but that's just how Bob is, you know, he's always been that way. And so, you know, now it's like we just we can't tolerate these type of things anymore. And I had said this before. John Sally said something that was, it sounds probably small to most people, but it was very big to me. He was like, no more do we allow the little jokes to slide, or the little kind of slights that people may say that really are offensive, but we just let it go for the sake of not starting any drama. He's like, no more free passes. Like from now on, it's like, I got to stop you right in your tracks if you're off key, or if you make an assumption, or if you do this, or if you just think you can walk up and start touching my hair, like anything. Like now it's like, we got to be strict, because we are creating a new world right now, and we're all responsible for that. And so we have to just make sure that we set the rules the way we want it to be done. And like Genesis said, it's really just about being kind to one another, which you would think was like the easiest thing to do, but you know, it's going to take a little bit of work. But yeah.
Sorry, I've tried to read as well the comment in the meantime, because Suzeli is not here to help me. Actually, Suzeli just said something about this story. She said, we saw with our own eyes how authorities act prejudging. At the time, we were afraid and we didn't think about it until after, but we need to step up against injustice. Exactly. So, yeah, I don't know if you want to add something, Charlie, or yeah.
Do you have any more questions, like guidelines for
So
us?
I have my main question after all this was that we all now have the opportunity to be on the right side of history. So how can we use this opportunity the best? Like, what will be your advice to how we can help?
On that. I think educating ourselves on, you know, some Black history and understanding some of the systemic oppression that's currently still in place today is the most important thing, because then that allows you to be an advocate. And like you said, nip things in the bud. When you hear people saying racist things, you can educate them right on the spot. And then it also allows you to be aware of policies, you know, your senators and governors, whoever is going in, like if they support abolishing oppression, so you can vote for the right candidates and also sign all the petitions that need to be signed when they come up. So educating yourself. There's a ton of Netflix documentaries out. There's a bunch of books you can read, and they've all been posted a lot on people's stories on Instagram. So taking the time to learn about it, in the same way as vegans that we watch all the documentaries and talk to each other and always want to learn more so that we can be better activists, we need to be doing the same thing, because right now Black people are oppressed in the same manner as animals, maybe not in the same numbers, but in the same fashion. So education is key. That'd be my statement on what we need to do.
Yeah, and I'll say I want to I'm about to say something real specious. I want to jump on what he just said. You know, I was about to say a different term. Education. Like, I was really surprised. We had asked a question in the group, and to find out how many people knew about the Black Wall Street massacre. Not a lot of people had even heard of it. And this will help you understand and empathize with a lot of the pain and resentment often that we have internalized throughout this history. So I would say, like, if you're someone that really isn't into, like, you don't want to read and that's not your thing, but you're more of a movie person or a documentary person, there's some little small short film. There's a film called Rosewood that tells you about what happened to that community that was Black and thriving and independent. Research Black Wall Street, a community that pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps and created their own independent wealth and their own little community and economy in Tulsa, and look and find out what happened to them and why that no longer exists. So check out 13. Netflix is amazing for a lot of great documentaries. So a lot of things that you'll find on there, you'll be really shocked that have happened in our history and in our like parents and grandparents' lifetimes.
Yeah, and you, Genesis, what would you say? What advice would you give on how we can speak up the best way?
I think the best that you could speak out, I think, is first, like Gwenna and Charlie said, is by educating yourself, because I think, especially if you're not a person of color and you don't know about what we have to go through, I think watching movies and documentaries can be a big form of education, especially if you have younger kids. So you can, because it starts with younger kids, is when you're younger is when it first starts with racism. And this is why it's happening, because when you're younger, if you're sometimes you're told, oh, lock your car doors when a Black person's walking by, or like, oh yeah, your Black friends can't come over, or I have to meet the parents first because they're scared of what the parents can look like. So I think it starts when you're younger. So I think make sure to tell your kids why it's so important not to be racist, and to show them movies and documentaries so that they can see. There's some like for kids to see, like The Hate U Give, that one's really good one that I saw with my school, and that really shows of what Black people have to go through every day, so that you can really just understand where we're coming from. Because if you don't understand, you can just think like, yeah, they're overreacting, but if you really understand what we have to go through, you would be able to know why it's so important to talk about it. And I think also being kinder to one another is another thing, because we're in such a hateful world, so we need to be the change. It's not just going to be somebody that's just going to come automatically and be, oh yeah, we need to be kind to one another. It's us making the change. So just every day, if you do something nice, if you see a homeless person on the street, give them money. It's just little things like that is being kinder to one another. And you might think, oh, that's not making a huge difference, but even smiling at people at the grocery store, I mean, we have to wear masks, but still just being kind to one another, because if you like see someone and just tell them something nice, they're going to feel good about it and they're going to want to do it to somebody else. So I think we're going to be the ones to make the change. We need to all start being kinder to one another.
Bravo, darling. That was perfect.
It's really important to speak up. Actually, I like to use this example with Elam. We had him 2 weeks ago. He was talking about the NARD, National Animal Rights Day. And he found a piece of a flyer, talking about slaughterhouse and all this. And just this flyer made him go vegan, and then creating NARD, which went all over the world. So you don't know the impact your words can have. So that's how important it is to speak up. One sentence can change the world. People don't realize that.
That's right. It was a vegan outreach flyer, actually. So yeah.
It's true.
And I wanted to say in your comments, people are really contributing to some good things to watch. Vegan Profits, thank you. Hidden Colors is absolutely like amazing. That is a great one. Do the Right Thing and Roots. I don't know about Roots, but Do the Right Thing is a good one for like kind of entertainment. When They See Us, get your tissue ready. That's a true story. That's based on a true story. The Color of Money, Black Banks and the Racial Wealth Gap. On Audible, Five Bloods. Yeah, some good ones in here.
Yeah, and actually we have many. I'm not sure where I saw it, but if you go on Instagram and you check, you can find many posts, those posts where they tell you all the documentary you have to watch, all the book you need to read. If you like to read, you have book. If you like to listen, you have podcasts. You have everything for you. Yeah. So just make your research and educate yourself. And also I have one question. maybe the last one, because it's we always try to keep it shorter than 1 hour, but with this edition it was a little complicated. But how do you see the future right now? Because like I said before, we are always afraid that like what happened to George Floyd is not the first time, but we hope this is the last time. So let's not just put this on the side and like, oh, this was horrible, now let's go back to our life. How we can make sure that this continue? How you see the future?
Who wants that one? I'll go. I just have a feeling, and I'm a true optimist, but just based on pattern and spiritual downloads, I do have a feeling things are going to get a little bit more worse at some point before they get better, because I think that chaos is usually the entry point into peace. But like I said earlier, I definitely believe we're creating a new world. And like Genesis said, it's like take little small steps of being kind, just like a smile. Or I know for me, I like to, with this pandemic, with the mask, I smize a lot. So I like smile with my eyes a lot. But yeah, I'm very hopeful for the future of our planet. And it's not like I keep saying things where, you know, who's going to be the next leader? It's like you're the leader. And even if that just means you're leading yourself, or you're leading your household, or you're leading your families and friends, like you be that leader and you become that one that makes that change, because you can't change anyone, but you can change yourself. And I think that's the key, is like looking within, because we've all contributed to some form of oppression, whether it's an animal or another person or some form of species on this planet. So we all have room for improvement. But yeah, I'm hopeful for the planet, and I'm hopeful that in this lifetime we won't be oppressing or eating any more animals. I never thought that before. When I got in, I'm like, that will never happen in this lifetime. But I definitely believe, I believe it will now. As far as racism, it's going to take a whole lot of, I think it's going to take the next generation. They're not born yet. The generation that's going to be completely free from racism. But I think that we're setting that path for the next new people that come to this planet to live here happier and more peaceful. That was my little TED talk.
Yeah, if you guys want to say anything to wrap up, like how you see the future right now.
I think the way that I see the future is, I think it will probably be a better place, because I think right now we're all really living in fear. But I think now with all the protests going on for the Black Lives Matter protests, you're not scared anymore, because I think whether we like to admit it or not, we're always living in fear. We're afraid to speak up. We're afraid to use our voices. We're afraid to be seen. So I think right now, when you're not scared of anything, it's really making a huge difference, because people of color are normally scared to talk about this. But now protesting, it takes a lot to go out there, because you're in front of police officers. So especially the protesters, because I mean, when you're living in fear, you don't know what to do. But now that you're taking charge and you're not scared anymore, I think it's going to make a huge impact, because it's getting so much media attention. So it's showing people this. So I think that it's going to be a better place. And I think also we're going more towards a vegan world now, because I see how, since we're all stuck in quarantine, a lot of the foods that stay good for the longest time is vegan food. So I think a lot of people would always be, oh yeah, I could never go vegan. Like I would never do that. But then you look at the products that you're buying, it's like beans, rice, fruits, and vegetables. So they stay good for the longest time. So I think it's really showing people that think, oh, I could never do that, they can do it. And I also hope that, I think this pandemic has good and bad, because I think that our skies are so much bluer, it's so much prettier out. So I think it's just giving, I think Mother Earth is just sending us out a message that we need to stop, because we're just going to keep on going and going and going. But now I think we have to stay inside. So I think now that the skies are prettier, there's no planes flying, and we have glowing algae in the water, so we can make the change. It's not just because we're in quarantine, we can do this, but we just need to step up to the plate and do it, because I think a lot of people are always waiting for someone to say something or someone to become a new leader. But we have to do it. It's not just going to happen overnight. We have to be the ones to do this.
Wow.
Beautiful.
First
Mrs. President.
I just gotta say, Genesis, you're the wisest 13-year-old I've ever met.
Yeah,
Thank you.
beautiful.
She's wise for a human. Shoot.
You made me feel so optimistic right now.
I definitely want to add on to what she just said. I think this pandemic was the perfect storm for people to become activists and find their voice. Because when you're not distracted with sports and going out and things like that, you only have a few things to focus on. And the TV is kind of boring, so you want to go out and protest. So now people have built confidence. They've seen what unity can do. So other movements are going to also become strong. And also this whole time behind the scenes, you know, prior to what's going on now, vegan activists, we've been finding new ways and minute ways to be active on a psychological level. You know, with my events, we're making veganism the cool thing. Because before it was like the hippie thing or the white thing, and we're making it now like, what, you ain't vegan? Like what are you doing? You know, you think it started getting infused into hip hop music, into fashion, and you know, who doesn't want to be healthy and shining and radiant and not have disease? And you know, there's a lot of authenticity in what we're promoting. It's not like we're trying to convince people of something false. It's like, you're literally eating a pig's ass. Like, that's disgusting. There's nothing to hide from it. People don't even make that connection because there's a lot of indoctrination. So we're just kind of unraveling, you know, things that haven't even been talked about. So, you know, people will grow up, you know what racism is, you hear about it, but the truth is 60, 70 years ago, it was okay to be openly racist. We're still kind of infantile as humans, and we're just now like coming out of our baby stage and really stepping up as adults. So inevitably, veganism is going to become the hot thing and the norm. That's really what I believe, and we're pioneering that right now.
Yes. Well said. That was beautiful.
You guys are so powerful. So inspiring. So yes, so thank you so much. And yes, so we're gonna have to wrap up because it's been almost an hour and a half, and we always try to keep it shorter than an hour. So thank you so much, so much. Everybody should go follow you. Charlie's Fyffe, Charlie's Brownie. We have Gwenna Hunter. I don't know if I show the right space, but I see you here.
Okay.
Gwenna Hunter, VegansOfLA, Vegans for Black Lives Matter, Genesis Butler, and as well Genesis for Animals. It's your non-profit organization. Sorry. And and thank you so much. Actually, you as well a part of the Marvel superhero. It's made by Disney, right? Can you just say a few words about this, because this is pretty amazing.
So this is a series that was on Disney Plus. So it's called the Marvel Hero Project, and this is on Disney Plus. So what they did was they gave me my own comic book, and they filmed me talking about veganism and me at climate protests. So it was really cool to see how, and it also really gave me a lot of hope seeing this, because when I was younger, I would never see a vegan superhero, and I would never see like anything like that. So I think it really gives me a lot of hope seeing this and seeing how Marvel and Disney are finally starting to talk about this.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So thank you so much, everybody, for being a part of it. And I do want to say as well, Charlie was part of our virtual vegan fashion show. It was the first virtual and completely vegan and ethical fashion show. So everybody go check it out, either on the F.A.K.E movement website, or you can find it on our Instagram as well, or on Facebook. You will find it pretty easily. If you don't find it, just DM me and I will send you the link. And everybody, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank
Love you, Jonathan.
Yeah, bye.
Thank you for having us.
Of course. Up. So this is our F.A.K.E Fashion for Animal Kingdom and Environment Special Edition Black Lives Matter, because Black lives do matter, and please speak up. We need to speak up. We need to go out of our comfort zone. That's what I did today. As you know, we use F.A.K.E to talk about veganism, fashion, sustainability, and I wanted to use this opportunity to speak up. So yeah, we're here to learn. Don't be afraid to educate yourself, to learn and to make mistakes. If after you apologize and rectify and say it right, that's what matters. And yeah, so thank you so much for everybody being here. And if, oh, I see we had a question anyway. Oh, okay. Oh, where we can donate. Okay, if you want to donate for Genesis, I see that's the question. You can go Genesis for Animals. You can find it on Instagram. And yeah, please feel free to DM us F.A.K.E Movement on Instagram. If you have any question or any recommendation on how we can do more, how we can help more, please send us a message. Thank you, everyone. We see you next Sunday, not this Sunday, but the next one. I think it's 21st for another episode of the F.A.K.E Virtual Pop-Up. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, LA Animal Save, for cross-posting the live on your Facebook. And thank you, Jane and Shane, for letting us using your platform as well. And yeah, goodbye, everyone.